Welcome, ladies and gentle ghouls, to the latest of SCWRM's Halloween capers, our Halloween holidays, our Halloween picks, if you will. And as you will know, usually we take a car to get to each location, but there seems to be a problem this year. The car went missing. No, seriously, Tio, why is the Halloween car missing?
Because normally we don't use it, as I mentioned in the Thing 1982 commentary.
No. We usually use it in between, though. Like here, it's straight up gone, and it's usually not gone by the start. What the heck happened? Did it just
something Futurama.
Did it just get up, walk out, and decide to murder people like the movie Rubber?
That's one rubber, not an entire car.
Well, I suppose we might as well give it a look in this latest pick, Christine. This, for those who may not know, is something we've had our eyes on for a while now, essentially. A Stephen King movie that wasn't really bad, wasn't particularly amazing, but was a moderate success back in the day. Yes, before the rip-roaring fun and insanity of Maximum Overdrive, there was a more down-to-earth and serious horror story about automobiles killing people, written by the one and only Stephen King. And that movie was Christine, the movie about a red 1958 Plymouth Fury, a trait of car that became a lot more popular with the release of the story, especially the movie, which, yes, is directed by John Carpenter. That John Carpenter. Nice connection there with the Thing, Tio. And it stars Keith Gordon, Alexandra Paul, and John Stockwell. Like a lot of Stephen King stories, there's a bit of interesting trivia behind the making of the book, namely that he was sort of writing it by the seat of his own pants to the point where, while mid-writing it, he realized, oh crap, there's a certain character who won't actually be here at this certain point. I should probably stop having them narrate the story at this point. And I digress, the rest is history. There's not too much to unravel, so we can more or less just hop right into the movie. Start at the old-timey Columbia Pictures logo, and let the merriment begin with our guest star, Deji, here.
Alright, let's go.
So is Timmy Turner's dad right? Is this a screaming metal death trap?
No. This is not about Knockout, who happens to play Timmy's dad. But it is about a spiffy car that I'm sure Timmy's dad would like. Alright, here we go. In 3, 2, 1, click. Fun fact, actually, Knockout, the Decepticon from Transformers Prime, who, like I mentioned, is also played by the guy who plays Timmy's dad, probably turns into the same kind of red car that Timmy's dad would want.
I think, like I mentioned previously, I think also this is where the Where Car episode of Futurama was based on.
Definitely it did take some cues from this, yeah.
Also, in true tradition for John Carpenter's products, budget 10 million, and while, we only know the US recouping, it was 21 million. So technically speaking, a success, especially for the time, but still not really grossing much. And this was 1983, the period where people were starting to flock again in cinemas in draws. So yeah, it really wasn't a lot. Let me check in the meantime what was this competing against.
This was a moderate success that, while it wasn't loved when it first came out, did slowly pick up some momentum, no pun intended, and nowadays is regarded as a classic.
Also, like a lot of John Carpenter's other movies, he also co-composed the music.
So, genuine question, how many Stephen King books have you guys read?
Oh, I've lost count, but I've read quite a few of them.
Also, back to the bone. Are we back with what's it called? The movie that Pedro showed us for his birthday the other year. What is it called?
A movie.
I really
Definitely a
don't
movie.
recall.
The one that he shows for his birthday this year. I forgot the trilogy about the kid that fucking things around.
Problem Child?
Problem Child. Thank you.
You know, for a moment, I thought you were going to reference The Parent Trap, because they that movie also used this song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I did saw the original Dweebs, but that's not much of the remake.
You know, someone that constantly screams of how bad they are needs help.
It's more about bad in a sense how cool they are.
He's even stuttering. He's not even convinced that he's that bad.
It's called having vibrato, Dwibs.
Alright,
It
let's
just sounds
see.
like to me that he's nervous.
This was released in the December 9. This is for the Christmas season roughly. So let's see what. Ow. I guess this car was bad to the bone. Alright, this was competing against Sahara, which I think to remember, well, I did not do that much in terms of, box office, so not many people seeing it. The Dresser, oh, okay, I now get it. Everyone went to see Scarface instead. It was released the same day.
Oh, wow. I mean, granted,
Yeah, they really pushed it to the limit, huh?
Like, thankfully, this movie still did manage to be a success, but still, though, the fact that it didn't...
I guess they decided to rush to that movie instead.
Again, to give this movie credit, despite going head-to-head with flipping Scarface, it did manage to be a success. A moderate one, but a success too, which is... Trust me, that's a lot better than a lot of movies get when they go up against historical giants. And to give him credit, no one could have even really known at the time that Scarface was going to be that big.
Especially because it was a remake of a 30s movie. Again, as I mentioned, the 80s were a period of experimentation for remakes, but not many people would have expected that to be automatic successes.
Hindsight is 2020, after all.
But the year's 2024.
Ha!
What are you going to do to that car? Yes,
why is this car the only one that's red?
Is that what happens when you smoke inside a car? You instantly die.
Also, that I wonder if it. Okay, no, I don't think it was custom made for an occasion. In case you were confused with Rockbridge, Alaska.
Well, Rockbridge sounds like a name used in a lot of towns. Well,
Also,
at least this guy has some taste. He got a blue car.
Oh, yeah, I was about to say instead the juxtaposition between the color red and blue. It makes me having flashbacks to I Know Who Killed Me. Alright, let's check a bit of our cast. Oh, Keith Gordon. His first major role was in Jaws 2, actually.
He'll go on to direct a lot of TV episodes of stuff. House. So in an episode of House, a lot of episodes of Dexter. An episode of Better Call Saul, Fargo, Homeland.
So mostly crime stuff.
Yeah.
Then we have John Stockwell. Yeah. Is he actually related to Dean Stockwell? Let me see.
Also, yeah, the most famous crime show, House.
Okay, no, he's not related to Dean Stockwell, my bad.
Although, to be fair, House does kind of commit a lot of crimes in that show.
Oh, okay. This guy was also in Top Gun. The Nixon movie in 1995.
Also,
And yeah,
stop.
go on, sorry.
Stop me if you've heard this before, but a remake from Sony Pictures and Blumhouse is in development for Christine.
Huh. Well, to be fair, we kind of have entered an age where Stephen King adaptations are seeing not necessarily a resurgence, but a desire to be remade. So this is nothing new. We got a remake of Pet Cemetery or Firestarter or the Stand. Yeah, it also was famous about the Stand. So it's kind of inevitable also that this gets the treatment. I'm more curious if we ever get a remake of the Langoliers.
Calling it now.
What car are they going to do with that one? A Ferrari?
Well, no. Don't you see? Christine in the remake will be a Cybertruck. So, of course, it's trying to kill us.
I was going to say instead of Tesla, but yeah, we're kind of getting to the same conclusion.
Yeah. Tesla,
Cybertrucks are Teslas, yeah.
Yeah, it turns out Elon Musk is...
God. Yeah, being the 80s, we have like 25 plus people having to play high school kids.
Technically, this...
that thing's still going on.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay, technically...
Which, honestly, that's fine.
Technically, this segment of the movie actually takes place in 1978. The first scene took place in 1957, but this is
I was
the
mostly
70s.
mentioned on a meta level, the movie being produced and made in the 80s.
Fair enough. Ain't that interesting? The 70s being taught to us by the 80s. TTFN. Ta-ta for now.
Also, you can tell that guy's a nerd because he has glasses. Let's see the rest of the cast. Alexandra Paul. This was also one of her early roles. Oh, she was in the Perry Mason series. Cool. Damn, she has a lot in her career. Even if I don't... Oh, she was in Sharknado 4. Cool.
I guess she got to join the Legion of Sharknado Wonders.
Mm-hmm.
Cold War and all that.
Buy Genshin Impact, by the way.
Wow, you certainly wear your heart on your sleeve, bucko.
A nerd that doesn't even know how to open his own locker? That would be the other way around. The nerd teaching the jock how to open the locker. In this case, it's a physical Fonz. Okay.
Well, you see, Tio, if the Fonz has taught us anything, you need a cool way to open a jammed locker.
The percussive maintenance, yeah. Let's see also who we have here. Robert Prosky.
So, any names
This character are going to be how to open the locker.
So, any retroactively big names in this?
Not that I can see. Well, to be fair, John Carpenter was known to work with, aside from a few people that he had confidence with, John Carpenter was known to work with not very known actors in order to give them a boost. But if I had to be honest, I'm searching right now for the rest of the cast, and I don't really see anyone particular noticeable here.
I guess the biggest name is really Keith Gordon, who got a start in Jaws 2, and here he is
even
now.
then, after that, it still did not have much. Yeah, sure, not much noticeable. My point is, it's also worth noting that a thing that we didn't mention is that this adaptation came out the same year as the book. Like they were on record time.
Wow.
I'm more surprised that this did not get the miniseries treatment. It is true that Stephen King wrote a little short story, but this one was a full book, if I understand correctly.
And again, this was based off of a book that Stephen King was sort of writing by the seat of his pants.
Also, was this before or after his accident? I forgot.
I'm
inclined to believe it was before, but I don't remember the exact date.
Okay, you probably mentioned is that supposed to be John Travolta?
No, like you said, there are no real noticeable major actors in this movie aside from Steve Gordon.
Because he looks like Travolta in Grease.
In Grease. Like... Maybe they wanted to play with the aesthetic. Ow. You can tell the nerd is in trouble because he lost his glasses and cannot find them. Oh, come on.
Yep.
Tio, I need you to look at what year this is.
Jova just told that this is set in the 70s for now.
Like, yeah, this part of the movie, 1978, and holy cow. Dude, you were the one grasping his balls.
I was about to say you grabbed him. Are you compensating for something, buddy?
Okay, I think I saw this guy instead. The actor who plays these. I guess he's a teacher for mechanics.
Yeah, shop.
Let me see.
My God, a teacher that actually recognizes that the bullies are the bad guys, and it's not both sides.
David Spielberg, not related to Steven Spielberg, by the way, but no, I don't recognize any of the movies that he starred in. Weird. I thought I saw him like in a TV series or something. Oh well. He's expelled. So is he gonna punch him in the face? Or that, I suppose. Oh yeah, because yeah, Switchblade. I will say this, we're kind of used to see Stephen King stories having bullies that are more cartoonish. This is, despite still being over the top, this is actually a more threatening version of them.
Yeah, like, I mean, I'd say the best way to describe Christine is surprisingly one of Stephen King's more down-to-earth narratives, both book-wise and movie-wise. Yes.
So how is this connected to the Dark Tower?
Oh, if I recall correctly,
it probably is not. It's more of a meme that everything Stephen King wrote is connected to the Dark Tower, but only a good chunk still are, but not every single thing he did.
If I recall correctly, both Misery and The Shining are connected to Dark Tower, but
The Shining, I think so. Yes. I don't know about Misery.
Let me see.
I know that The Stand is because Randall Flagg, is the villain in both. At least
does it take place in Maine?
The Dark Tower is more of a case of a pocket universe, but it is basically confirmed that yes, the memes are true. Maine is basically a fulcrum of negative energy, basically.
Okay, there's actually a website dedicated to pointing out how every story ties in with Dark Tower. Holy cow. Okay,
Fair
let me see.
Then.
Apparently Christine does make an appearance in Dark Tower, and it's kind of implied that Christine may have been controlled by Pennywise.
Okay, sure, why not?
Stephen King cinematic universe.
Well, more like literature universe, but yes, dweebs.
Yeah, that's the thing about Dark Tower. I mean, granted, now, to be fair, the stories that it connects to are not the main focus, but Dark Tower is apparently a lightning rod of, hey, It does also explain some of the stuff from some of Stephen King's stories, but
it's mostly cannibalization because it was done after, and King did not really had everything planned to be a shared universe to begin with, but it was more just for fun. And again, it's more realization. When you're writing for decades of countless, stories, you might as well start connecting some of them.
Mm-hmm.
Also, you can tell this, the nerd had his glasses broken because they have a patch in the middle. That fixes them.
It was one methodology back then.
Also, is this guy wearing a straight jacket or is just a bust, corrective bust?
I think that's more of a... Yeah, I think that's a straightener he's wearing as opposed to a straight jacket.
Okay, yeah. Because I did wear one of those, but it was done via plastic more than actually being, fiber. Also, this is the weirdest remake of City City Bang Bang I ever seen. That's the title of the movie.
Yes, it is.
It's rated 18, Theo. It should be called Shitty Shitty Bang Bang.
Well, yeah, you can tell this has an R rating because the F word was said more than once.
Bayformers 2007 started like this with Sam finding a car in the state. It would have been much more interesting.
Maybe Christine was a Decepticon.
Isn't it kind of also what happens in the Bumblebee movie? Bumblebee goes basically shot down and then gets rescued, in another hairstyle like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kinda.
Sorta.
So yeah, it seems that Christine's owners have a tendency of, dying.
$300 for a car, it's okay, sure, it's in a terrible condition, but I've seen worse.
Okay. I'm broken because I'm seeing the R on that guy's Jova, what's the name of that type of jacket?
Yeah, I get it. It's a sport jacket hoodie.
Varsity hoodie. And I'm thinking the R is Riverdale.
Oh my god.
Like I keep thinking it's like because that's usually what Archie wears.
You know.
If it's not a sweater with the R on it, he usually wears a varsity jacket or hoodie like that.
Actually, that is a good point that we also glossed over when I was joking about the title card. Despite everything, we're not in Maine. We're in California, actually.
Oh, yeah.
For a Stephen King story, it is kind of, unusual.
Actually, guy in the varsity. I think there was actually an episode of Archie's Weird Mysteries where they did do an episode homage to Christine.
I always thought it was weird that the direct-to-streaming show was all dark and stuff, but then doing some research, no, apparently the Archie series itself did go darker and edgier.
It's also because the Riverdale series was done by the guy who made comics like Archie Meets the Predator, if I recall correctly.
No. He made a comic called Afterlife with Archie and the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, which are dark stories. Really good. He actually finished them. But for some reason, here's the negative side effect. He was also worked on Glee. So that's why Riverdale is the way it is.
And that's why Glee is the way it is. Jesus Christ. Burt Reynolds?
Yeah, that was a killer mustache there.
I mean, granted, Burt Reynolds was big, so I could see a lot of people wanting to fashion their looks after him, but holy cow, that was a dead ringer.
Sorry, you've got the wrong Stephen King movie.
Lady, can you do another take?
Jesus, that's an overbearing mother.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing typical of Stephen King stories.
I was going to say overacting mother.
Oh, wait. I think I found... I think I found our, undercover celebrity actor here just in her career. Kelly Preston is in this.
Oh!
John Travolta's wife, in case you're wondering.
It's funny, we were talking about John Travolta. Also, the woman playing Arnold's mother is Christine Balford. Also named Christine. Cute. She was in stuff like $6 Million
Battlestar
Man.
Galactica.
Yeah. So yeah, remember...
Mostly TV stuff.
So remember, Arnold's been taking shop, essentially. So, you know, we figures this would be a nice project for him to work on.
But yeah, another thing that I noticed by looking at the cast, not for everyone, but for almost all of them, this was actually very early in their career. Like, if it wasn't really the first, but like second or third or fourth tops. So almost all of these people were fresh blood that John Carpenter picked.
I will say, I'm surprised a lot of them didn't become big names, because usually the effect of John Carpenter movies is...
Well, like I said, this was technically a commercial, you know, tepid kind of movie. Not a bomb, but still, you know, not that... Again, that's the curse with John Carpenter. Aside from Halloween, he only had a very few movies that were considered, you know, a decent success monetary-wise.
Oh, I get that, but my point is more so that, well, like, even in stuff of his that wasn't a success at first, those usually became, like, big. And, okay, to be fair, the movie Christine itself has gone up in popularity. I'm just surprised that the actors didn't skyrocket like actors in his older films tend to eventually. Granted, that could just be a quirk I'm talking about, and this happened to be the John Carpenter movie where that just wasn't the case. Jesus, everyone's so judgmental about the car he gets. Like, I know it's seen better days, but, you know, anyone who works well enough on a car can arguably revitalize it pretty good. Huh, another story about somebody who happened to be dead while owning a car that looked a lot like Christine. And this guy does look old enough to have been around since the 50s, so...
Thanks, Discount Pat Ingle.
A dick.
Yeah.
Well, it's a Stephen King novel, so if he's a dick, he's probably on the chopping block.
So this was literally the next movie John Carpenter did after the...
Yeah,
Wow.
I remember that one was lambasted and lost at the box office. Well, it wasn't a complete bomb, but it did not manage to do double the budget.
So ironically, it was the movie that was a more successful bout that sadly did not go on to be as recognized as The Thing.
Like you said, Drova, even aside from a few things like Halloween, most of these movies, at best, did just enough to survive. Like say, let's see, They Live, for example, budget 3 million, recouping 13.4. So technically a huge success, but it's still not that big in terms of money that they actually made with the movie.
I'm pretty curious about They Live, actually.
Like he said, yeah, you didn't mention because it's the one with Roddy Piper and Keith David. It's the movie that it's about conspiracy theories about aliens, controlling our lives.
Mm-hmm.
Were they actually aliens, or was that the twist?
No. They actually are aliens. The entire movie is about this guy managing to uncover the conspiracy and going on a rampage. I want to say more familiar with these more horror-oriented stuff like Prince of Darkness and In the Mouth of Madness. And of course, don't forget the movie that we have to see eventually, that we did in 2001, Ghosts of Mars.
Oh my.
Yeah. A movie so bad that he retired from directing until 2010 with the award.
What a weird career trajectory. I mean, granted, again, nobody can truly plan how things will go to the last letter, but it really is interesting looking back at how some of the big greats really did have things tumultuous, and it does show how legit someone can legit be considered trash one decade and a treasure the next.
Or the opposite.
Right,
yes, Libs.
I was gonna say, I just checked the page for Ghosts of Mars. Such a weird cast list. John Carpenter went from helping to found the career of Jamie Lee Curtis to having to direct Ice Cube, Jason Statham.
Remember, this was around the time where, Hollywood was desperately trying to tell you that Ice Cube, could be a good actor.
I mean, don't get me wrong.
Who could be a good actor?
Ice Cube.
Don't get me wrong. Jason Statham's a good actor, and Ice Cube can be good given the right role.
Yeah.
I've seen Anaconda. I can tell you that he had a rough time.
He was in that? Jesus.
Yes. Well, Anaconda is such a terrible cast in general, of known people. That's what I mean. There's J-Lo, Owen Wilson, among others. So it's a story for another time.
I recall Ice Cube being good in Boys in the Hood.
And I was also in a recent TMNT product, but I don't know which one.
Yeah, he voiced Superfly.
Okay.
He was also in...
I did like him in Are We There Yet? But it's been years.
The Are We There Yet duology.
Oh, sorry. For a second there, he looked a bit like Steve Coogan.
Also, I guess what they're trying to do here is that the garage owner is like, he's very rough and an asshole, but he has a good heart deep inside or something. But sorry, this is not probably working as we intended.
I think if I recall correctly, the idea is he'll start to warm up to Arnold a little bit, but something's gotta give eventually.
I'll also say this, even having experience with 80s movie, I can tell that the pace is a bit on the slow side for this one. Like we're technically only 30 minutes in, but the stuff that is being happening is not that much. It's very, decompressed.
It's hard for me to tell how much of this is 80s storytelling versus how much of it is kind of Stephen King's writing style.
It might be also Carpenter. If you remember, even The Thing kind of had that. The problem is that this is a case where I think it's not working for the better.
I will say, if you're here mainly for the killer car, you may have to wait a bit.
Also, I don't know if this is because I got the volume turned down so I could hear you guys, but this must be the easiest composing job John Carpenter's ever had.
Oh yeah, there's not really too much composition for this.
Yeah, I mean, granted, I think he said in interviews in the past that when it comes to his musicianship skills, reading and writing notes is not his strong suit.
Oh
He
dear.
just basically improvises.
That's kind of weird for a guy who tries to compose some of his own stuff then, since in my...
It's also worth noting, however, that he was not alone in this. He had a guy called Alan Howarth as a co-composer.
I wonder if in that regard, what he did composing-wise was he thought out what it would sound like, whereas the other guy would actually put the notes to paper.
I mean, Halloween, the first one he composed.
You know what? I can kind of get that because the main theme for Halloween is pretty simplistic. But yeah, meanwhile...
I mean, it only took him 3 days to compose it and score it. And record it, I mean.
It works.
Yeah, I found the quote. I can play just about any keyboard, but I can't read or write a note.
Smooth guy, very smooth. Let me see.
Ah, the pickup lines of the 80s/70s. Do you like music? What about dancing? Whoa, 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 turn down the riz, my boy. You're practically irresistible with them pickup lines.
Also, I completely forgot that John Carpenter did direct a remake of The Village of the Damned in 1995.
Oh, is that the one with Christopher Reeves?
Yes, but compared to the 60s movie, it wasn't really, a decent enough adaptation. What's his name? Dominic Noble talked about this in one of his videos.
I know he talked about the original film. Did he talk about the 1995 one?
Yes, he did mention briefly at the end about, the remake and the changes that they happened in that.
Yeah.
Alright, so the pickup line of our dashing protagonist clearly did not went through.
Oh.
Also, he just leaves the car like that. I hope he's planning of, moving it soon because it's halfway in the road. Oh, if I had a nickel.
Arnie, you're looking...
Hey, look. Yeah, because he removed his glasses and had a slight haircut. So, of course, he's transitioning from, being the nerd to being more the cool guy.
Rebellious against his parents, too.
Well, that's more like...
It's funny. Danny seems to be more built up as the jock compared to, Arnie's nerd. But Dennis doesn't really seem to fit in the jock stereotype. He's yeah, sure, he still has a bit of dumbness and just, I want the tricks kind of attitude. But doesn't seem to have, the things to go the extra length.
I'm guessing maybe that's the idea, he's one who, is regarded as cool, but, he's not a stereotypical jock at heart.
Okay, let me put it this way. He looks like he's trying to be like Fred from Scooby-Doo, but not getting there.
He seems like a nice guy. I guess he appeals to the looks are deceiving type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently the car is affecting him in some way.
Sure. It's just a Stephen King story. Why are you telling me that an object is affecting someone via, supernatural things?
It's a symbiote. You've got to get rid of the car.
Was it The Simpsons or Family Guy that had the sketch with Stephen King suggesting about a couple being haunted by a lamp? I forgot.
I think that was Family Guy, but don't quote me.
And oh no, okay. I thought they were gonna do I returned to the place where we got the car and the guy was gone.
Are you sure about that? Okay, so apparently his wife and daughter meant less to him than that car. Eh?
It just couldn't stay away.
That, or maybe the car got up and decided to come back. But that's silly. Cars don't get up on their own.
Alright, I get what this film's going for. But so far, even as like a slow build kind of movie, it's not very tense so far. I think there's a bunch of dickheads. And him. Honestly, in terms of Stephen King films about possessed cars, I'd rather be watching
Maximum Overdrive. That
Yeah.
one is more over the top, you know, but at the very least in a fun kind of way.
Like, you know, and to
I
be
mean,
fair,
it only opened with Stephen King being killed by an ATM. You know, that is a sign that the movie can do
They
no
called him an
wrong.
asshole first.
remember also, Stephen King was apparently high out of his mind while he was making that movie, too.
I mean, isn't that the case for a lot of his books?
He did have a drug problem, yes.
Like with it, he was high as hell. That's why he wrote that orgy scene.
God.
Keep in mind also, with Cujo, he was so high out of his mind that he didn't even remember his own story. And that book sold a ton. Like, he managed to make a book while high, get paid for it, and then got to have a surprise of his own when he actually read it when he was sober.
Oh. Full time.
I know Ian Flynn has told his audience, read the first version of Dark Tower and compare it to the rewrites, just to see how different his writing style is. Like, because that first one was like he was completely winging it.
Wow,
That is Libza.
as if the movie's momentum couldn't be any slower. Now we've got American football.
Okay. I want to be fair to this movie. This was sort of a style
Oh,
of...
no.
Yeah, boy. Anyway, to bring this to more savory topics, to be fair to this movie, this wasn't just a style of some Stephen King novels. I'm pretty sure this was a style of horror movies around the time where there was definitely a lot of anticipation and build-up, essentially, to, you know, when stuff would, you know,
That is true,
get to the
but
point.
again, let's be more as direct as possible with the material that we have. The year before, with John Carpenter did instead The Thing. Sure, it was a remake of a 50s movie as well, you know, but it still took its own type of direction, and despite having a bit of a build-up to the horror, you could still have the tension be more powerful. I guess it did help when it was in a more claustrophobic location, while here we're just like in the open, in this small, quiet little town, but still, I don't know, I can get where Blips is coming from.
Oh yeah, I get it too, but if I'm to look at this as, you know, the styles of the time, essentially, I get the feeling that the
What
point...
the fuck?
Uh-oh, it looks like Arnold's got together with the girl Dennis was pining for.
Oh no, I forgot about this. Sorry, Dej.
We've got a bit of a cuck arc on our hands. Of course the boys cheer him getting injured.
Let me guess. Now he can't really move all that well, and he's extremely dependent on the car.
No. If I recall correctly, he'll have an injury, but he'll heal. It's not like...
This is just like 13 Reasons Why.
Although, you just know...
That smile.
Can
That damn smile.
Can you imagine if in the remake of Christine they change the scene so that it's actually the car that plans for him to get injured.
Also, you can tell that, the nerd, Arnie, became to the dark side because now he wears red and black.
And there's Christine now, properly
Be afraid.
revitalized. But yeah, I get the feeling that the point of the movie is...
okay, November 5th. I guess we're past Halloween. Sorry, guys.
It's to show him recovering, but yeah. I feel like the point of the movie is essentially that a lot of it is supposed to be the anticipation of suspense of, is the car actually alive, essentially, It's...
Or is he just Arnie, having his mind being rotten?
I could see it also taking some cues from Jaws, wherein the idea is we're building up to the threat, essentially, but we don't see it until near the end. Granted, it does take a bit of time for the threat to start killing people in this movie. Like, okay, I'll say it. Me, personally, I think this movie is fine so far. Like, I get what it's going for. We gotta do the build-up and show how Christine gets in a state to be able to kill people again, essentially. However, I can get anyone who's not feeling it in this day and age. Even if this is, a product of its time.
Oh, wait. I have had those Danish cookies metal box once as a kid.
How were they?
Well, Danish cookies, of course. You know exactly what you get. But Twibs, sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, is it really that sensitive having a card literally saying "ouch" on it?
I guess it's one of those, not desensitized, but disarm the tension here, and saying, get well soon. Again, a common practice. I don't know how. I'm pretty sure it's common worldwide as a thing, but a common thing to do here for people who have to wear a cast, on a broken leg or an arm, is for people to just write on it stuff like "get well soon."
So basically,
the only way a card could be more insensitive is if you gave a get well soon card to someone you know had a terminal illness.
Damn, Dwibs. But yeah, it seems Arnold has become such a stud that Lake Habit, the new student who rejects pretty much everyone else, is now dating him. Much to poor Dennis's sorrow and distraction, which is what got him the injury.
Well, it wasn't meant to be a joke, but you got what I mean.
What the fuck? That sentence.
What sentence?
Oh, driving. What are we watching?
Is that?
I'm not recognizing it.
I'm not sure what movie we're watching.
It does look like a blaxploitation movie, admittedly.
I was going to say I thought it was a movie with Prince in it, but I don't think he made.
Oh, that's a neat way to avoid the rain. You have like something that. An audio box you can put inside the car.
It makes sense. Nowadays, cars have a frequency that they can tune into the movie, essentially.
Like a Bluetooth device or something.
Yeah, or like a radio frequency.
We've only got a few drive-in cinemas around here.
As a reminder, if I understand correctly from the aisle before, these steel characters are supposed to be 17.
But she can't bring herself to do it just yet. Just settle them blue balls, Arnold.
Are you afraid the car might be jealous?
Han, are you jealous over a car? Ooh.
Sounds like an advert. Are you jealous? Are you getting jealous of your car? Get a life.
Look, it may sound crazy, but I think your car may hate me.
Also, what was that video game commercial on a magazine that Kadikos mentioned? Something like get a life, get a guitar, get a car, or something.
Was that Guitar Hero?
No, I think that was that magazine in which it tried to convince you to to get a guitar, but you could be as Noel Gallagher or something.
Ow.
It's a car.
You will believe a love... actually, I'm actually surprised I can't think of an anime where there's a love triangle between a boyish car and a girl yet.
It's like, I think you're both insane. You for falling in love with your car, and the other one for punching a car as if it's a...
I'm being jealous of that.
Yeah. I can barely see the movie, it's raining that much.
Oh no!
Oh
yes!
yes!
Turning the radio on its own!
And it's...
choking her.
Choking on the burger? What the fuck?
No, I think the car is basically turning up the heat, essentially. And it locked the door.
Okay, smash the window.
Well, that's his car, Graves. He could not do that.
Just smash the fucking window, your girlfriend's dying.
Break the window, you fuel!
Actually, I guess she is choking on the hamburger. Jesus.
Oh, I guess the neighbor, the guy in the other car helped. Yeah, the compression. There you go. That is an actual technique.
Yeah.
God, a 80s movie manages to portray a better, anti-choking or suffocation technique that most movies with CPR. How fucked up is this world?
So, yeah, that was an awkward end to the date.
Someone else had to save her life.
I can kind of tell that most of these actors were in the early parts of their career because another thing to notice is that a lot of the acting is a bit hit and miss.
Which is weird. I mean,
I remember
Carpenter's normally decent at directing actors.
Well, look, look, you can't critique a man's performance like that now. Oh, right, the car. Oh, boy, fumble!
What a lovely guy you are.
As you see, it's the car's fault for corrupting his mind. It's the yokai watch mentality.
Oh yeah, sure. Blame the inanimate object.
Officer, I did not actually kill my wife. The car told me to do it.
God, I would hate to be some suspects in Stephen King stories.
Yeah, like when that vending machine killed somebody in
Maximum Overdrive. By throwing cans. Yes,
actually, I think it was another. It wasn't something else Stephen King, where someone got their hand trapped in the vending machine.
Oh, that I don't know.
I really feel like that's maximum overdrive, but...
No. It was something else. It was one where they had these little weird jumping beads or something.
Oh, Jangoliers, you mean? That doesn't involve a vending machine.
No, it was something else. The one with...
Oh, what? You have to reassure your car that everything's okay, and that's not weird at all?
Okay, I think it's a problem not just that Christine is sentient, but that she has issues of her own. There's that too.
Yeah.
The Tommy Knockers, that's it.
Oh, it's been a long time since I
Tommy
saw
knockers.
that. Yeah, the one with that arsehole cop.
You have to be more specific.
The arsehole cop's husband who
the mailman.
The one who has the evil laugh.
Who literally abandons a search for a child to bang the mail lady. Ominous.
Wow, I think that's the first time I've heard music that was made by the actual composer in a while.
Oh, the bullies are there to trash Christine, so... Yeah, in true Stephen King tradition, they're probably gonna be the first real victims, huh?
Let me guess, Christine's gonna run them over.
I don't know if Christine gets particularly creative, given that she's a car.
Because, man, this guy thinks he's Triple H, but like over a decade early.
Yeah, let's be glad we're not operating on cars, logic.
God, would...
Oh, like cars have innards.
In the car...
Can you imagine if at every smash step we hear Owen Wilson going, ah?
No, it's just him saying, whoa, wow.
Rude.
Honk for entry.
Ka-chouch.
Yeah.
So how would Christine work in the Cars universe?
She'd be a serial killer.
And a yandere, probably.
Locked up in an insane asylum.
You know, growing up is realizing that Lightning McQueen's fangirls were flashing him.
I mean, it's not much a sign of fate if you actually directly decide to apply in the same school. We took my car!
Not my ride!
Civit will be so disappointed by this.
Wow.
Okay, so what that girl's wearing, I'm just thinking of the Pink Power Ranger.
So would that make Arnold the Red Ranger?
Well, apparently it's implied that Jason and Kimberly are the ones that end up together.
Which is weird, given that I'm kind of sworn Kimberly looked like she was more going to end up with Tommy, but
Tommy ends up with Kat.
Never forget, Kim gave Tommy a legit Dear John letter. It's a very minimalistic score and one that is quite weird. Oh dear.
I don't know why that girl was even giving him the time of day after. It's like, maybe it's just sexual tension.
Odd.
My guess is that she chalked it up to they were both having a very, 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 very bad night, and I will say she is much more understanding than most people would on a date. That said, I get the feeling that their relationship is over now. I mean, he does have a point. Taking a crap on the windshield is, that's an extra layer of vile.
But it's not Christine!
What? You know, not for nothing, dude. Most kids would jump at joy at the thought of their parents getting them a new car.
Don't touch me, motherfucker.
Okay, yeah, he's being a dick, but doing that to your son is also kind of shitty, you know, mate.
Admittedly, Arnold was testing his last nerves. Like, granted, his was a bit where he probably lost his temper. Arnold, though, retaliated in a way that, yeah, that feels pretty vile.
And psychopathic.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I'm just sick of this in movies, like the dad's always portrayed as, I can't get free to myself, I get fucking physical.
I mean, all things considered, I think the dad was trying to be much more fair. Yeah, he shouldn't have done that, but this is a point where I can buy it that Arnold really just had gotten on his last nerves at that point. Which I do find interesting. While the parents do come off as overbearing at first, it does seem like they do legit feel sorry for Arnold when Christine gets damaged like that.
He's even got a mustache. How many fathers have I seen in movies that have a mustache and get physically violent upon, like, even the most little provocation?
Okay, to be fair to him, that was not little provocation. That being said, though, it's weird. It seems like Christine may have a little trick of her own.
Self-destruct.
The opposite.
He's really standing under the spotlight. Oh no, he looked into her deadlights, like Pennywise.
Huh. Maybe Dark Tower was onto something when it, again, just going off of the notes I've read, apparently implies that Pennywise had some connection.
Yes, you're gonna tell me that Pennywise killed the turtle god, I forgot its name, but you know, the entity that is in contrast with Pennywise, he killed the turtle by running it over with Christine.
Damn.
Okay, I can only imagine what effects they used for this.
Well, they probably smashed the car in, filmed in reverse.
Not bad. I mean, I've seen less convincing reverse effects.
Mm-hmm. If I can give John Carpenter credit, I feel like he always definitely got the most out of his effects in his movies.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, it helped, but for the most part, I didn't really have much of a budget. So
Yeah, working what you have.
whether
What's
that was
his?
his own choice,
I wonder
don't
what is his biggest budget film?
I'm gonna check right now because I skimmed through them, but they usually stay consistently between less than 10 million and that maximum usually like 25 or something. But again, I'm gonna go in order just to see.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Dark Star had a 60,000 million budget. No.
That's low.
Assault on Precinct 13, 100,000. No. The first Halloween was infamously low budget, 300,000, 325,000.
Mm-hmm.
The Fog was 1.1 million. Escape from New York was 6 million. The Thing was 15 million, so up until that point it was the highest he had worked with, and it showcased with the practical effects. This movie, as we mentioned, had 10 million. Starman, the year after, had 24 million, so that's quite a lot actually for his standards. Big Trouble in Little China had 25 millions. Prince of Darkness had 3 million. They Live had 3 million as well. Memoirs of an Invisible Man had 40 million. In the Month of Madness had 8 million. Village of the Damned 1995 had 22 million. Escape from LA had 50 million. Vampires, 1980 movie called Vampires, 20 million. Ghost of Mars had 28 million. And The Ward at 10 million. So to answer your question, Escape from LA is his most expensive movie.
Also, I love that bit. You ain't mad, are you? I mean, sure, we literally crapped on your car after destroying it, but you're not mad, right?
So yeah, I guess even if it's a bit delayed, the bullies are still the one getting the comeuppance first.
Plus, at least he didn't go to the Prometheus school of running away from things.
Yeah, I know, right?
He actually fought to dodge to the side.
19 years. About 29 years before that.
Even so, the movies were doing it, also before. But the point is that a movie from the 80s manages to understand that compared to so many other movies done after it, in the near and far future.
Yeah, that's one thing I'll give Christine. It ironically still seems to avert a lot of stupid horror cliches. But yeah, he is wise trying to get into ways that the car can't keep up its speed to try and capture him. Better hope you can climb well.
Whoop.
Wow.
I didn't pick that for
John and Alan loved the synth and the drum.
It's okay, not the same tempo this, but it's kind of like that level in the Terminator NES game. Dun, 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 dun.
This is actually also a good idea. He's trying to find a more narrow alley to escape her.
And then it turns out it's like the Batmobile in The Dark Knight, where you can squeeze in between places.
Or James Bond's flipping car in Diamonds Are Forever.
But okay, he's finally found a place too narrow.
Oh yeah, sure. Your pocket knife is gonna do something.
Throw it at him.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, Christine is just that determined.
And can't take the damage, as we saw.
jump.
Just jump on the car.
I guess not.
No.
No, I was like, why didn't you just jump on the car?
Guess I'll die.
I mean, and it's not like he's too fat. He jumped over that fence, all right. Hey, even. I mean, I don't know Honestly, you could claim either the car or his own stupidity killed him.
Okay, time out. I know that a lot of movies and TV series love to do that in the 80s, particularly in the early 90s. But no, you cannot bring alcohol in an hospital. Get that shit beer away.
Don't you see? He's just that much of a rebel now that he snuck
unless
it
you're
in.
telling me it's root beer or something, like Pinocchio 2019, or whatever year it was. I forgot. 2022. Sorry.
If by that type of money you mean nothing to repair her. I guess so. It's almost like she repaired herself. But no, I'm just that good.
Okay, mate, Dennis, Danny boy, that line should be a gigantic red flag. You should probably, get away now from this hospital.
Well, he's still recovering.
Yeah, I mean, I said earlier, he'll never play American football again. It's gonna take a while.
Oh, now it's a Thanksgiving movie. Hooray! Oh no, now he's dressing in all black. His turn to the dark side is complete.
Who does he think he... I know it was early, but who does he think he is? Hulk Hogan in WCW? He wears black when he's evil.
You know, it's funny you say that, Dej, because 1983, that was the year Return of the Jedi also came out.
Let me check this guy.
Oh wow!
Say that.
He's apparently still dating Lei somehow.
Why? She really should just ditch him.
Good guys are just so hard to come by, So, I might as well take what I can get.
Ironically, Arnold probably was nice to her beforehand, but, well, Christine don't like that.
Alright, one of the actors that I mentioned before plays this police guy, Harry Dean Stanton. Oh, he was in The Godfather Part 2. Let me see if there's anything. His career is extensive, but I'm not recognizing too much, at least on my part. Oh, he was also in Escape from New York, so slightly regular for Carpenter.
It's
he was in The Green Mile, so he was in another Stephen King adaptation.
It's a perfect shade of red to hide blood.
Of course. Oh, I was also in Inland Empire in 2006. Oh, I was in a small role in the 2012 Avengers movie, like a security guard. That's why it might look slightly familiar.
Oh. Okay, apparently Lei may have blabbed to him about the cops.
Honestly, it's for the better.
Okay, to be fair, she was telling him about the car being totaled. But yeah, no, that's a good point. You don't seem too mad, and one of the guys who may have done it is dead.
Well.
Damn!
Great way to not out yourself, Novata. What's a girlfriend?
I've traded up, shall we say, in terms of girlfriends.
I love it. This guy, just by standing with this car, this guy has gained so much confidence that he fucks up his own parents, and can literally threaten a police officer.
He is lucky that that police officer doesn't have more evidence. But...
You hung up the phone.
Oh, yeah.
That's how it works.
Oh, yeah, sure, dude. She's gonna be rushing right back to you after that. Jesus.
Why, Lisa? Why?
Everybody betrayed me but the car. Oh, December 16th. Are we approaching Christmas time now?
I guess so.
It's perfect. It's a Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas movie, all in one
the whole
bundle.
package. Is that a Coke bottle? I guess. Oh, it looks. Oh, it's wine. Oh no, it's a wine cellar. I mean, apparently I cannot read. My bad. Wait a minute. They have a car behind them. What could it be?
It's an Alfred Hitchcock movie, of course.
Well, to be fair, Duel was more Steven Spielberg, if I recall correctly.
I'm referring to the scene in Psycho, actually.
Okay.
But yeah, Duel was a very interesting start for Spielberg, honestly. It's so different from a lot of his movies, but it's tried and true.
Mm-hmm. Is this a pantomime now? Man, this Fast and Furious prequel is wild.
Man, back when the cars
Look,
were the
so
characters.
after how insane 9 and 10 are, I feel like we need to go back to basics. So I'm
With
fine.
with having a haunted car, yes, Dad, totally.
The thing is, a haunted car, from what I understand, a haunted car might actually be more sensical than
A
whatever's
haunted
going
car
on.
would not be out of rum at this point.
I mean, yeah, they went to space, so the only things that are missing are a haunted car and time travel, I guess.
Good lord.
They retcon a character's death 3 times.
Wait.
Like,
Don't
I'm
you
pretty
mean
sure
like... Oh yeah, true.
I'm pretty sure the only reason why they're not, retconning also Paul Walker's character, that is out of, respect for, his family and friends.
Honestly, I feel like they should recast them at this point.
I mean,
Dejimon. Monkey's Paw, you're getting Chris Pratt.
Oh, God.
Honestly, sure, whatever.
Oh, wow.
You see, Toretto, it's about family.
I guess Christine really hates other cars, too.
Because the what's been happening in these movies, if it's one of those, most of these plots feel like Paul Walker's characters.
Oh, Jesus.
Wow. Well, I'll give Christine credit. She's getting creative with her kills.
And again, considering Christine
snap.
doesn't particularly care about damage, I guess the self-immolation is basically just fine for her.
Which makes me wonder, is the only way to kill her just to have her break down? Because, remember, beforehand, she supposedly wasn't able to do it until Arnold fixed her up well enough.
I get the idea it's a case of... Okay, I get the idea it's a case of, you know, when the owner passes away and if there's no one else that can, you know, that can be enticed by her charm, Christine goes dormant.
That might be, yeah, because to be fair, she got totaled, like, way worse.
Sorry, John, what was that scene for?
Da-da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da-da. Seriously, it's like if the Terminator was a car.
Okay, now this guy is actually going to the Prometheus school or running away from things.
Like, dude, get off the road!
That feeling that one of your lackeys had more common sense than you.
Then again, granted, maybe he's just too terrified to be thinking straight, seeing as how, admittedly, it's not every day you come across a flaming car that wants your blood.
And Christine is just toying with him clearly. Oh, there you go.
Even dropped off him.
Oh, Discount Pat Ingle. We haven't seen him in a while.
In God we trust, everyone else pay. Okay, that was cute.
It's also funny because Maximum Overdrive had Pat Ingle in it.
Car's seen better days.
Can you give me a wash?
Great, that's the next package for Power Wash Simulator.
Yes, Christine! Wash it good or the car will kill you.
And once you get a game over, you can't play it again.
This Herbie reboot's weird.
Oh God! Herbie versus Christine.
Well, I honestly, outside of being handled by different companies, but honestly, it could work. Herbie is, despite he being a bit of a prankster, Herbie genuinely is a force for good. So it would be kind of an ideal clash.
That's the scrapped reboot. Herbie Goes Bananas.
Herbie Goes to War. Also, I think I saw, I don't remember what was the name of the most recent Herbie the Love Bug movie, the one that came in the early 2000s, but I think I saw that.
Herbie Fully Loaded.
I think I saw that in theaters when it came out. Yeah, 2005, with Lindsay Lohan as the protagonist.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, it also had Michael Keaton in it.
Yep, Michael Keaton's in it.
Beautiful.
Also, sure, buddy, your shotgun is clearly gonna stop the car.
Well, the way he sees it, he probably thinks that's somebody else driving the car because Arnold has his Cadillac currently. So who could be driving Christine?
Could be anyone.
Oh yes, the ride is over. For you! Yeah, I guess that's the downside of having Christine not being able to speak. We lack one-liners.
Yeah. Let's see who's in that car.
Old Man Jenkins, no! And yeah, it's still hot.
So whoever was driving it must have been fireproof.
Ghost Rider, I guess.
Oh,
But wait, nobody's in there? What?
well, how do I kill it?
How could this be?
Oh, snap. It had to be the wind, because nobody wasn't there.
Yeah, mate, just stick your hands and your entire body well inside so you can be actually, jam-trapped in it.
I guess, to be fair, his mentality is, well, it's not like the car is actually alive, right? Hence the human rational side of the mind.
Yeah, I guess that's the only way Christine can communicate, by using radio songs.
Bumblebee would love her.
She would be a terrible influence for him, Jova.
Yes, she would.
What's the name of that Decepticon that turns into like a wasp that loves to sexually assault people? I forgot her name.
Oh,
No, you're thinking of the spider, Arachnia.
Yeah.
Black Arachnia.
Arachnid.
When you said wasp, I was thinking of Waspinator.
He's actually talking about Arachnid from Prime. Fun fact is, in the Japanese version, Arachnid tries to absolutely sex up Jack.
Oh, that's the thing in the I think it's IBDW crossover Transformers had with Star Trek. She does try to make a move on Kirk, and the only reason
that sounds about right.
We never go through is that Kirk literally just says, "You're not my type," which is very out of character for Kirk, if I had to say.
Oh, also, wow.
Which Kirk is it?
Whenever Kirk flirts with someone, does he? It's not because out of romantic interest. Isn't it just so he can save his own bacon?
Well, sometimes
Exactly.
Yeah, sometimes it is for true love, but it's not meant to be for one reason or another.
Yes, Dwayne.
Is it Prime Kirk or Kelvin Kirk?
Prime, William Shatner. Specifically, the comic specifically made a point to use the aesthetic of the Star Trek animated series.
Speaking of Prime, if Arachnid was in it, that means that it was Star Trek crossing over with the Transformers Prime verse.
Well, it's labeled as a generic, type of alternate continuity. It just happens to have, a bunch of characters mixed up for the sake of variety.
Okay. Linkar did a review of that, didn't he?
Yes. Also with the Ghostbuster crossover.
Yeah, I remember it's when Starscream accidentally influences the look of Gozer to be himself lording over Megatron's corpse.
Also, he tries to outsmart Peter Vickman, but completely not knowing that Peter Vickman is a lot smarter than he appears.
Well, thank goodness the car is okay.
Okay, John, I told you. What did I told you about the synth?
Well,
he's trying to ape up the stinger that happens when Michael Myers shows up.
I wonder. Maybe he was trying that, but with a car this time. Huh. Convenient, ain't it? I love how nervous he is. Like, I mean, granted, we know what's going on, but can you imagine them actually finding something on Christine, like how Elle managed to deduce that light was cure?
I mean, I guess it's bad for the veteran it's the 80s, otherwise, why it was not uncovered? They're playing Risk. Wait, I thought you need a minimum of 3 players to play Risk. Weird. Also, jump cut. What happened to the editing? But
yeah, I was like, what?
But the thing is that if it was done in the mid to late 90s, especially early 2000, if the government learned how to, Christine will try to weaponize it. Imagine, gentlemen, a self-driving car, the perfect force against terrorism.
Again, I joke, but given how Cybertrucks seem to be more of a danger than a help to humanity, maybe Christine was just ahead of the curve. In fact, maybe Elon Musk has just been controlled by a Cybertruck, and that explains all the weirdness lately.
Yeah, is that why he's the most terminally online man-child possible?
Yes, the Cybertruck made him do it. He's becoming a Cybertruck. Yeah, I love how even Dennis is getting to the point where, okay, yeah, Arnold's been acting a little weird ever since he got the car. Although, granted, I think Dennis is more on the mind link that Arnold's become too obsessed with the car, where Lay, I think, is more on the mentality of, no, it's the flipping car. Well... Oh yeah, because that works so well for the bullies.
But we will need to find a way to properly destroy that trash compactor. Let me check. Did this ever add a tie-in NES video game or something? Let me see.
Huh, has anything Stephen King ever had a video game tie-in?
I don't think so, but...
That actually is surprising, honestly.
Oh, wait, okay, it doesn't, but I'm checking here a couple of things where they probably should tell more for the final thoughts, but it includes stuff like Stephen King's reaction to this adaptation and a sort of a cultural, legacy of sorts. But again, I'll save these for the final thoughts, why not?
Fair enough.
I thought it was just your neck.
Fuck you.
It's like the Gashimushi video. Hey, buddy, you got the wrong place. So, it's the actual Jimmy's right in front of the corridor. Fuck you.
Also, ironically, normally it would sound like he's just threatening him for making fun of his car. Though, in a weird way, this could be Arnold legit warning him that Christine is just that sensitive. Careful when you hit 88 miles per hour.
No, if this was a horror franchise, they actually would be like, so in this installment, Christine can time travel.
Yeah, I could, it's weird. I could actually see them franchising Christine in a
Just remember what to do with the Friday the 13th movies, and then we got Jason X.
Jason X. I mean, part of me feels like I should hate that movie, but part of me just can't, because it's literally taking the killer to space! And mind you, that's after he takes Manhattan. Like, the Friday the 13th series went places.
I think that's just a general problem of horror franchises, that they don't really know when to end.
I feel like, yeah, and ironically, the progenitor of it was Jaws of all things. Granted, I think Jaws invented the idea of the summer blockbuster, in addition to many other concepts in films.
Like I said, it was the big three at the time: Jaws, Star Wars, and The Exorcist.
Yeah, I was told that one of the movies that Jaws straight up flies. I'm like, what?
Okay, not really.
Flies.
Hold on, I need to ask Esau, because he was telling me something insane about Jaws, and I'm like, you're making this up.
If you were thinking like he roars, yes, that does happen.
At the end of Revenge, he also explodes.
Well,
at least in the theatrical cut.
Yeah, I was about to say, it depends on which cut, because... Oh god, the Revenge.
It's funny. Our protagonist, quote unquote, Arnie, as a similar character to a character in The Stand, another Stephen King story, so it's not too surprising that he tends to use similar concepts, and cliches. I can tell you, the guy in that story went on a bit on a deeper end, believe it or not, compared to Arnie. Sure, Arnie is still influenced by Christine, is doing horrible things and is treating people horribly, but you can tell he's possibly, just genuinely, just badly influenced by the car. Or you make an argument, unless you can make an argument that he was always, like this, and the car stimulated only him to fully blossom into this rotten kind of thing. But the character in The Stand, literally constructs a bomb and kills someone just to get some pussy. Just saying.
Boy, when Stephen King wants to make a bastard, he really can write a bastard. That being said, when it comes to Arnie, I do get the feeling that he was legit good, especially since he seems to recognize very clearly that, he is out of his gourd, like that little mantra he just made about how Christine really eats up everything, and he hates that feeling, but he loves her too much to let it go. There was also that bit where he did warn Dennis not to make fun of her, which did sound like a threat, but I do get the feeling was his way. Darnell's tonight.
And I don't like the sound of when you're scraping metal like that. It's kind of like nails on a chalkboard.
So basically, he's calling it out, or Arnie out. I get the feeling even Dennis doesn't know at this point. But basically, come to Darnell's, where we'll settle this.
Also, still, again, another thing that we noticed, not too long from now, like the editing in the second or last third has kind of become a bit, more rampant. Was Carpenter running out of money and time to make the movie, and such as to, have scene transition not very, flawlessly into each other?
That would be funny, given how Stephen King was sort of writing the book by the seat of his pants. So wouldn't that be something? The book and the movie both having to be done full throttle. Granted, I don't know for certain about that, because granted, it could have just been a style bit for where the plot starts to get more into motion for all I know, so don't quote me on that. Yes, Dej?
I just, out of curiosity, decided to look up Jaws' abilities, and I'm on the wiki where it says weaknesses. The last two is, honestly, Jaws doesn't look all that realistic, especially in the live-action 3D movie. Cause people to overly discriminated about real-life sharks just killing them out of nowhere when they're not doing nothing.
What site you looking for on that?
Character profile.
That
one was actually a common complaint, potentially over the years, about Jaws. The idea that Spielberg's special effect did not age for the better. There was even one of the lines in Epic Rap Battles of History from Hitchcock.
My personal...
it was also in Back to the Future Part 2. Shark still looks fake.
My personal take is, it's a lot more obvious that the shark is fake, but I feel like what they did for the first one was an interesting idea. Like, what? What's wrong?
Nothing. I will post in the chat. Keep going.
But, I mean, for what the first Jaws movie did, I feel like they had an interesting idea, making the shark look more monstrous than an actual real shark. Like, the anatomy, and granted, I don't know if that was intentional or not, but the anatomy of the first shark is definitely one that feels more monstrous than realistic, whereas later Jaws animatronics tried to go for a more realistic-looking shark. I feel like the animatronics for 1 and 2 were fine. Obviously aged a bit, but I feel like they're fine. By 3 and 4, though, nope. And the sad thing is that 4's could have been the best, but apparently due to a rushed production value, it looked flipping terrible. So the plan is we trap the car in here and then bulldoze it.
With that caterpillar.
events.
Oh, it was voodoo. That's what I was thinking.
Right, the voodoo. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's like...
Okay, so the voodoo thing that's apparently a novel exclusive thing. Whereas, apparently, the reason that the shark is after revenge is actually due to a voodoo witch doctor, which the book explains. The movie doesn't, though. If I recall correctly, also, the books establish that each of the sharks in the sequels have a connection to the original shark. Like, apparently the shark in 2 is Jaws' mate. The shark in... Well, okay.
It's an entire family of shark. You know, you attack one, you attack everyone.
Yeah.
So when are we gonna have bigger Jaws? So the heroes have to work together with Jaws.
I wonder, but yeah, it's time for the final confrontation.
Also, Dej, it's kind of like the direction that I told you when we commented on it, that I think the third Mummy movie should have gone, but apparently they chickened out and instead went with Tomb of the Emperor Dragon.
Huh.
Lame. Only good thing about that movie was Brendan Fraser being dressed like Leon, yeah. Yes.
Is that where...
Shame he didn't suplex anybody.
I was wondering, did that influence Resident Evil, or is that the other way around? And Resident Evil
it was done after.
Ah.
I think Tomb of the Emperor Dragon was 2006, so between 2006 and 2008, I forgot which specific year.
Okay, now it really sounds like Carpenter's doing basically a sequel to his Halloween score.
So I guess also we're in full climax territory now.
Yep. Angled just right.
Christine, why are you driving like that? Are you stupid?
Because I want to take out that hussy after my man.
Why don't you take out the car that's blocking it?
Well, to be fair, that's a bulldozer. Christine's strong, but I don't think she's that strong.
Or smart.
Well, what is she supposed to do? Crawl over the bulldozer?
No, just keep driving over it. Eventually, it'll break down because she's a self-repair car.
Again, though, like, admittedly, physics will only be so kind.
I wonder how many cars have they trashed in order to make this movie with all of the effects.
One thing I do know is that apparently this movie did help make Plymouth Furies a lot more popular as a car.
Okay, what year was the first Back to the Future? Because, you know, that...
85.
Oh, not too
85.
long after this, because that one was that for the DeLorean, even though the car kind of sucked when you really get down to it.
Oh yeah, like, it's funny, like, a lot of people think the DeLorean was specifically made for Back to the Future, but no, that was actually a car before then.
And again, it wasn't really as great as the movie was trying to promote. Like, when it came to shilling, Back to the Future managed to do the impossible.
Uh-oh. What's she about to do this time?
This isn't even my final form.
Oh god,
she's gonna transform again.
Oh dear.
It's kind of like the scrapped concept of, one of the scrapped concepts of Alien 3, where the xenomorphs will have, you know, fused into a gigantic mass of xenomorph.
God, Alien 3 was weird.
That sounds like something one of the Capcom games would have done. That Capcom arcade game would have done.
I'm pretty sure one of the Dark Horse comics also did something like that, but I'm not as caught up. He really just wanted to jump and say, "Brrr!" And I guess he died. Okay.
Was him hugging her to show that he's still him inside?
Or that he wanted to kill her desperately.
He dying or singing?
Christine, the musical, on ice. Oh my god. Just be glad that I guess we should be glad that he did not, became too attached to the exhaust pipe.
Yeah, that might have made things a little awkward even for Christine herself. Well, surely
Don't like taking it up the rear like that.
Well, surely it's finally over now that the driver is dead, right?
It's Christine over.
That seems a bit...
Uh-oh. Oh, that's the requiem that Christine is giving to him.
How lovely. And now she's going to absolutely murder us.
She really is a yandere car, holy shit.
Even though Arnie is dead, she's like, nope, you're all going down.
You're so going down, you'll be downtown.
Let me just shimmy out here, stretch out, and then, well, you can choose how I tear you limb from limb. Hey, hands off the tailpipe, bub! Actually, does that count as
I like a good little... Hey, I like a good squish, but this is a bit much.
Oh, and she's reaching the 0 kilometer. Yeah, we've been focusing a while on that. It's like the kilometer, counter going in reverse.
Is that just her limit?
I wonder.
That's what I was pondering. Maybe it was... Is the caterpillar the equivalent of humping her?
It is! Oh my god! He's humping the car!
While killing her.
Should the car file for sexual assault?
Just put her down. Yeah, put her down her misery, please. There you
if
go.
It survives. But...
Okay, so ease it over now.
And then he becomes obsessed with Christine and then kills her.
The cycle never ends.
Oh,
Oh fuck.
I didn't hear no bell! Okay, now we're really raw-dogging her. Okay, are we done now? Nope.
Just to make sure.
The radio's still on, so no.
Was that her orgasming?
Oh, I guess she's overeating.
And yet that radio still plays.
There we go. There you go, trash compacted.
Now set it on fire.
Yeah, no, also the 80, we cut immediately to the car being trash compacted. Holy shit.
I've seen the opening of Resident Evil 8, just set it on fire.
Also, I love that line. You two are heroes. So that implies the cop actually believes that the car was killing people.
So again, now the government in some capacity officially knows about a sentient car.
Well, give them credit. They just had it cubed instead of trying to weaponize it.
Guess you...
Oh, whew! It was just that guy's boombox.
It's kind of like the end of Johnny Mnemonic. They kind of do a similar fake out. Are you Batman?
Okay, Batman.
Punk is nothing but death,
Oh,
cry, and the rage of a beast.
of course, Christine versus the Batmobile.
Oh, snap. That would actually be a good idea.
And it ends like this, with Christine still alive.
Well, it just shows. Well, that or she's trying but can't rearrange herself, but either way, she's still bad to the bone.
Alright, just to mention quickly before our final thoughts about the Legacy. The critical response to this has a 72% on Rotten Tomatoes currently. Consensus being the cracks are starting to show in John Carpenter's directorial instinct, but Christine is nonetheless a silly, zippy fun. Roger Ebert gave it 3 out of 4 stars. And for Stephen King's reaction, while he was promoting the film adaptation Dreamcatcher, you know, the one with the shit weasel, Stephen King mentioned Christine as one of 2 film adaptations of his work that had bored him. Okay? Stating that I may be the most adapted novelist in modern times, and I don't say that with pride so much as with a kind of stunned bemusement. Several honorable adaptations have come from this 30-year spew of celluloid, and the best of those have had viewable elements I'm best known for: science fiction, fantasy, supernatural, and pure gross-out moments. The books that do have those elements have, by and large, become films that are either forgettable or outright embarrassing. Others, I'm thinking chiefly of Christine and Stanley Kubrick's take on The Shining, should have been good, but just, well, they just aren't. They're actually sort of boring. Speaking for myself, I'd rather have bad than boring.
And that's kind of ironic.
I think when we commented on The Shining and Doctor Sleep, I think King actually retracted eventually on The Shining. I don't remember exactly the details, but if I recall correctly, it did came around.
I know he liked Doctor Sleep.
I was apparently right. The Werecar episode of Futurama was inspired by this. The film is parodied in one episode of the Grim Adventures of Bill and Mandy, but apparently, get this, Dibs, since you saw the movie. David Gordon Green said that his 2022 film Halloween Ends is a love letter to Christine and John Carpenter's body of work in general.
What?
As someone who has seen Halloween Ends, I can tell you that aside from being a very disappointing movie in general, no, it doesn't really resemble Christine.
Yes, of course. Michael Myers using a car. Oh wait, no, he didn't really in Halloween Ends.
But he is a vehicle that advances the plot. So.
Especially because this was not Michael Myers, because Halloween Ends just
my best
do weird shit.
Yeah, okay. My best guess is given. Well, shoot, it's been out long enough. Given that one character who becomes obsessed with Michael Myers, I'm guessing the connection is supposed to be that he becomes influenced to do evil because of the curse of Michael Myers or some stupid crap like that. Like,
it still feels a stretch.
You know, I'm just gonna say it. I can't believe I'm saying that, but I actually prefer Busta Rhymes taking out Michael Myers than Halloween Ends.
Alright, for the time being, final thoughts, Dweebs.
I noticed how you said Busta Rhymes and not Rob Zombie. But
well, that's a different continuity. Those were technically 2 versions of the same continuity.
Okay, so this film was a trip. It's an interesting enough premise. Car is haunted and tries to kill people, but it's surrounded by some really weird people. Like even before he gets possessed by the car, he acts very weird towards it.
I think it's implied that that's all the cars casting its spell on him.
Yeah. The music is odd. Like, I don't know if John Carpenter was struggling to live up to what he did for Halloween, but this, I mean, it's effective enough, but it's not very memorable. The acting's, as we said before, is really hit and miss. There's some weird line deliveries, especially from the actress playing the mum.
Mm-hmm.
It's odd. Like, the most bizarre line deliveries. I mean, I've seen worse, but still not. In terms of the licensed music, it's John Carpenter has good taste. That's about it.
Okay.
But yeah, honestly, in terms of Stephen King movies about cars, I'd rather watch Maximum Overdrive. That one's much more fun. This was watching a bunch of weird people and some real massive dickheads just go crazy on cars. Or cars go crazy on them.
Again, though, we have mentioned there is some crossover potential for Christine.
Well, we'll see.
Anything else?
No, that's it.
All right,
Dej.
A really interesting movie. Kind of weird that Arnie dies.
Honestly, Dej, if you're familiar with Stephen King stories, it's kind of a custom that the character that gets corrupted like this eventually, gets a karmic death of this kind for his actions.
Like in The Shining.
But it was more. But it wasn't like he did all this out of ill intention. He was just basically possessed, right?
Oh yeah.
True.
Trust me, that happens a lot in Stephen King stuff. Where even if someone was arguably innocent beforehand, once they get possessed, unless they're broken out of it, chances are they'll die. Like from what I understand, in Tommyknockers, the people possessed do get snapped out of it. For the most part.
Even in stuff like, say, Sleepwalkers, for example, despite the werecats in that being finally stopped, they still had a bunch of victims before they were able to be stopped properly.
Mm-hmm.
Overall, just kind of weird how this all ends. It's like, that's what stops Christine? Okay.
Well, even then, the final scene seems to basically, tell you in your face that she's not going to be stopped despite everything.
My take
it may take time, but she will be back.
My take is that she's trying to fix herself. Like, the thing is, like, she's alive, but she can't repair herself due to the cubing, which, to be fair, would leave the room open for a sequel if, say, somebody, for whatever reason, years later down the line...
Yeah, it's still the classic tease that all those slasher movies had back then, like Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th.
If this had been franchised, how much you want to bet that one of the sequels would have been like, in the far, far, far future, somebody wants to, bring one of these antique cars to a museum. So, of course, that car just happens to be Christine, which, shoot, I guess when you get down to it, is kind of similar to the plot of Futurama, since, hey, cars at that point usually fly, so a driving car is supposed to be unusual at that time.
Yeah, I'll go next. This one is technically okay, but I'm not super agreeing with Rotten Tomatoes score. This is more of a 60, tepid 60 than a 72. There's nothing technically, majorly wrong with this, but I've seen much better Stephen King stories and better entertaining Stephen King adaptations. I kind of have to agree with him in a sense that it's boring for the most part compared to stuff like Maximum Overdrive. Again, Maximum Overdrive is cheesy and bad and it's all right, but I agree with King. At the very least, it's entertaining.
This makes me wonder, was the book more action-packed in that case, then? Or
you didn't mention that he had to rewrite it because part of the narration, was tied to a character recollecting the event. Maybe the difference really is in how the events are recollected, Wouldn't surprise me. That if anything, that was basically the game changer that made the difference between the book and the movies of 50 Shades. So there is that. Who knows? Whatever. Again, like I said, Bo, don't take this wrong in a sense that thinking that this is telling a bad story or a bad movie or it's all right. It's just that this is just a thing that happens. This is better than stuff like, say, Dreamcatcher that I mentioned before, you know. But I will take, like I said, maximum overdrive over this. There's also the weird thing of the editing. Again, in the second half, particularly, some scenes just cuts away immediately after one another, and it really is jarring. And then some characters, like Arnie's parents, completely disappear from the movie. Like, you might not want to get them in the epilogue 2 to mourn the death of their son. No, the last thing that we see is the father being handled by Arnie. It's just, it feels like we're missing something. I don't know.
I do wonder if they had a bit of a rush development since this came out the same year as the book, so...
Let me see, just the production, filming, there you go. Christine was shot largely in Los Angeles, California. Film began in April 1983, mere days after the King novel had been published.
Wow.
Adventure Furniture, and this came out in December. So yes, it does have Blumhouse production level of, fast production. Me, Deji, and Pedro recently saw again Child's Play 3, and that also had the same problem of being shot very fast. So maybe you have a point, Joe, in a sense that some scenes just they not had the time to shoot.
I wonder if, it almost makes me wonder if King legit just wrote the book to have something to get adapted into a movie, because, like, the fact that the movie was started days after its release suggests something was being planned.
Also, from what I'm reading here of the making of, apparently, originally, John Carpenter was supposed to actually be the one that that was going to direct the 1984 version of Firestarter, but he was too busy back then, so they got Mark Lester instead, interestingly enough. On the plus side of this movie, the practical effects are very, traditional for John Carpenter. He managed to make the low budget work with what he has, and they really are, good looking. The way Christine recomposes itself multiple times. Again, it's imaginative enough and a good testament of how you don't need, to blow a lot of money on CGI for this kind of thing. You just know that for in this day and age, and I fear that's not going to happen for the reboot that is coming, that the recomposition will be, mostly CGI instead of being practical, which is going to be a damn shame, admittedly.
Yeah.
But we'll have to see. After all, this is, it's Blumhouse production that is aiding Sony, so I am at least partially, optimistic about it. We'll have to see if Avi Arad sticks his nose in it or not. Who knows? But again, I'm kind of done. The rest is stuff that everyone else has mentioned, like deals with the acting again, and I also mentioned sporadically in the movie. So yeah, when it comes to symphony adaptation, there's technically worse, but there is better, and this is just a passing thing. Jova.
I just want to open up my final thoughts by pointing out also, guys, the first guy to die in this movie was a black guy, technically.
Remember again, who was the first one to die, actually?
Back in 1957, the black worker who got in here and lit a cigar inside of her, and then he's later found dead inside.
It's sadly another constant also of Stephen King stories. Thankfully, these days he seems to be slightly toned down in adaptations, trying to, move over that. But yeah,
to be fair, some of those were the case of the adaptations. Like, remember, in The Shining, originally the black guy survives in the book, but it's in the movie he got killed, essentially. So, but yeah, it does seem to be a quirk of Stephen King's stories in the origins or the adaptations. But yeah, like you said, better with that now. Also, I don't believe this one takes place in Maine.
No, California, like we said.
So that would be one part of the Stephen King drinking game you'd be free of.
Well, even that, even another thing, like, say, abusive, crazy parents, we really don't get technically that. Like, sure, I get the idea of why this was worried during the outburst scene, but it's easy to us to rationalize that the father really just was genuinely frustrated, and then, Arnie arrived to the point of antagonizing that, he was going to, hit him regardless. So the father was just trying to tell him to knock it off. So
also,
there is that. So you don't even have that excuse, or the alcoholic parents like that. Yeah, this story shies away actually from a lot of Stephen King cliches.
Like heck, to give it credit, the bullies when they mess up do get comeuppance from the teacher nonetheless. It's both sides of everything. It's like the teacher's
also an actual teacher, and not the janitor, which usually would be played by an African American guy, because that's also another cliche. And like I said, the bullies seems to be like a genuine threat, instead of being cartoonish, like the ones in It, for example.
Mm-hmm. And I'll admit, it's like the boys are smart enough to not do something like legit try and murder the protagonists. It's like they go, okay, let's go after his car, which is probably tougher to trace, but also probably won't, land them in federal state prison, since, again, that's a thing. Some bullies are outright murderous to the point of Jesus, really? Whereas, these bullies feel, again, relatively down to earth. And again, I think that's arguably one of the best ways I can describe this. It's one of the most down to earth Stephen King stories. Yes, that is in spite of the haunted car that kills people, but still, though, it's relatively down to earth. Now, this both helps and hurts the movie. Again, I'm not as familiar with the book. I'll probably need to give that another read. If I read that, it was a while ago, but yeah, I do wonder if the book may have been better paced, since apparently even Stephen King found this movie a little boring. Me personally, I'm fine with this movie. I do get what it's trying to go for, and granted, given that apparently Stephen King found it boring, now this does lead me to wonder if this might have been more John Carpenter's style, or, again, the 80s style of the sort of horror thing where there's a slow build-up until you actually do reveal the killer, and then stuff arguably gets underway, essentially.
Basically, Joe, bottom line, after properly seeing the movie, I kind of get it why people went to see Scarface instead of this. So.
Again, to give this movie credit, it managed to still be a box office success while alongside Scarface, which is sadly more than can be said for The Thing, which, if I recall correctly, that one didn't even have.
No, that one was basically in a slaughterhouse.
And it's still relevant in pulp culture to some degree, since Sphinx will reference this movie.
Oh, yeah. And again, Christine was big enough that it popularized the car that starred in it, so kudos there. I do feel like this movie has earned its place in history. Is it perfect? No. And I'll admit, I do find a lot of the performances kind of a bit weird. Maybe it's John Carpenter trying to show the awkwardness of the adolescent mind or something. I think it is the best way to describe this whole thing as weird. It's a weird thing for John Carpenter to be attached to, but it arguably works. The acting cast in it is weird, but for the most part, they worked. I feel like this movie as a whole just works. Fine enough. That score is, very minimalistic, and part of the times it makes me wonder if he was trying to basically make a sequel to his Halloween score. It definitely has the John Carpenter mannerisms in it. The effects are very good with what little they had to work with, which, to be fair, that is one of John Carpenter's strong suits, working well with as little as possible, essentially, which, yeah, I do hope that the Christine remake does do some justice in not just being an overly CGI fest, and if it has to, use it relatively minimalistically, or at the very least not to the point where it just feels like the whole thing is a video game look. But I digress. It's Christine. It's a good enough start to our Halloween picks, and it's a movie that I can say I enjoyed. Not loved, but enjoyed, and I'm glad it still has a place in cinematic history. And now that we have dealt with this car incident and gotten our own car back and under control, Tio, where's the next destination?
Well, Pedro once again told us that the Chuckster is once again on the loose. Don't ask me how, considering last time he got dismembered by, a fan in a theme park after that weird accident with the military camp, which was apparently shall never be spoken upon. And worst of all, he's getting laid, apparently. So I guess that's what we need to find out. Tuning next time for the continuation of the Child's Play franchise with Bride of Chucky.
See you then.
Yeah.